Are we live or no?
We are, but no sound on YouTube for some reason. Hey, check 1 2, check 1 2, checking the YouTube feed. Just it's not getting any sound on YouTube. There we go.
Are we live?
We are, but hey, check 1 2, check 1 2. All right, now the sound is coming through on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with us just a moment here. That was a pain in the butt. Sorry for the abrupt intro, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube. Anyway, let's get started here. Check 1 2, check 1 2. All right, everything works, but YouTube is just being bulky here, as they say. And the dog barks. Cue the dog. Can't have a good show without the dog, right?
Do you drive with the dog? Or is that your
Dog.
mother-in-law? Was that Natasha's dog?
Yes, that's Natasha's dog. Oh, Rumble signed me out. Oh, great. And I can't mute this. Every time, right when the show starts. There's not a time when the show starts. Oh.
Do you get nervous when the show starts?
No, I don't. I just I think the dog does. No, I think someone's coming home here. I think that's the problem. I think there's a car in the garage. That's why. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, let's make sure this music is right here. Here's a this is a proper start of a show, huh? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great award-winning show. As I always say, I gave ourselves the award, but someone has to win it. Anyway, it's September 9th, 2025. Technical Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. It's the big day of the week where we talk about the macro markets. Macroly? We talk about the markets. Pedro brings you the information about the world's leading economic indicators, how it affects your bag. Some of you say, well, these things don't really affect my bags. I'm a day trader. I'm in and out of the market, or I'm a crypto trader. Don't really need to worry about that kind of stuff. You would be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, how much the jobs report, which, Pedro, did you see the news on that? They revised previous numbers down 1 million jobs. Unbelievable. Surprise! You'd be also surprised how much the Chinese stock market ultimately affects you in the strength of our dollar, the health of our dollar, the health of our economy. As I say, you would be surprised. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia, in the box. Pedro, what's happening today?
And not everything is well, good, and pleasant. Everything's free flowing. I can breathe clearly. I've noticed that I finally haven't been coughing as much, and really good. So I'm really thankful for that. Markets are moving. Took a gold long this morning, and it was good. Things were good.
Taking a gold long is a pretty much guaranteed trade here the past couple of months, isn't it? I mean, if you play the longer time frames, the weekly, the daily or weekly time frame, it's just like another winning trade.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm not gonna sit there and fight. I'm gonna take the easy trade. I mean, that's just how it works. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and try to, like, right now, the S&P 500 is just being the S&P 500, right? It's just kind of it's at all-time highs, and we keep having this type of movement here. And then I'm like, and I look at gold, and it's just up, right? It's just literally up. So just wait for it to kind of pull back, and then go long. Wait for the sell-off to come in, and if I have a higher time frame moving average with a higher time frame liquidity pool and a zone, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's kind of how it works. Just like, let's go ahead and go forward.
All right, everybody, let's get going with the as they say, get going with the show here. BTC, we always like to start. Oops, sorry, everyone, that was the wrong button. Um, almost ran the credits. How good was your show? Oh, I ran the credits after 20 minutes. BTC is still trading in that zone, Pedro. It just can't seem to break out either direction, up or down of that 110 to 112 area. Various people, technical analysis people on the internet, still calling for a big push back down into the 90s. Other people saying, you know what, the daily chart has said we're going to hang out here for a little bit and maybe even come up a little bit and regain our losses. And so equal calls from equal, I say equal weighted on the great Twitter sphere on what's going to happen with it. But Pedro, tell us what's going to happen with it.
Excellent. All right, so I'm looking at two things really when it comes down to um, Bitcoin here. Right now, you can see that we're seeing just a drop in volume, like major drop in volume here. You can see it's pretty close. I call it the flip off finger. Um, you can see right here, boom. That's it right there. You see the flip off finger right there? One, one,
Yeah,
two,
yes, we
three,
can,
four,
Pedro.
five.
Right here below my
Hey,
hand here.
yep, yep.
Turn it up.
Um,
Oh, no.
so I say this because the drop in volume, it's, obviously I was expecting us to go up a little higher. I was thinking we're going to come into that 50 period moving average, and then come back down. But as of right now, I need to kind of wait and see how today happens, right? If we see an increase in a lot of volume, and we start to get down into that 109 area, and we see an increase in buyer volume, or excuse me, increase in seller volume, we're coming back down to this lower level of that 104. You can see here that we had the increase in sellers right here at these levels as the market was coming in. And then the last 2 days, we've literally seen a drop in buyer volume. So statistically, that means that we should come back down either to our 107 area and or maybe even potentially that 104 area. So we'll see what happens. But the key is to kind of watch today's volume to see if it's going to be a high volume day for this for the sellers, um, and how we expect it to move. Ultimately, as you guys know, I'm very bullish on BTC. I would like it to come down to that 10 or the 100 area again. I want to pick up some more BTC at those levels, even potentially lower. And I don't think they're wrong by them saying that we have liquidity, because it's just not picking up volume since um, the why am I forgetting what it's called? Bassett. Bassett is the leader for the Treasury. Wow, it was so hard to remember.
Secretary
Sorry,
of Treasury.
Secretary of Treasury of this Treasury. Basically, they're sitting there. Basically, he's the purse, right? He's the one who holds the purse, and he's the one who he made it very clear. Yeah, we're not going to take U.S. tax dollars and buy crypto, i.e., Bitcoin, right?
Right.
So because of that, that definitely put a damper on a lot of volume coming in. Hence why I think we're watching a lot of volume come into Ethereum though. Right. So we watched the sell off yesterday kind of happen. I said we needed to stay above that 200 daily, or the 200, excuse me, the 8 period moving average on the 100 around here. And you can tell we fell right through it. We also fell on the 2 hour period moving average. And so that basically just indicating that we went up first in the week and then came down. But you can see we're holding these positions right here at these levels here. So I'm just kind of a wait and see type of situation. We're not putting a lot of volume, even with these big candles down, which is a good sign that Ethereum is looking strong for the next leg up. So that's one of the things I'm kind of looking at. But ultimately, we're seeing a lot more volume come into Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and I think that has to do with potentially what's happening with just what they're trying to develop there. We'll
What,
see what happens
Pedro,
as continue. Yes.
Pedro, what do you think the reason is for the pullback in Ethereum?
Well, there really isn't a pullback. Really, what it is just a simple, um, you know, just simply, I don't know, maybe there wasn't enough sellers coming in, so they need to create sellers. I mean, you can see here that there's more buyers sitting here than sellers. I mean,
Right.
over the weekend, you saw there was a lot more buyers. Even right here, there's not like, granted, I mean, I guess if you calculate and put these together, it might equal half of Monday, or yeah, half of Monday's buyers right here. But I just don't think it was really a pullback, or just simply they needed sellers to come in for them to push up. We're not seeing it go any lower. If this really was, we would want to see it kind of pull back to here. Which, by the way, let me put this in. There is a liquidity area right here, kind of playing. You can see how it's all kind of playing out right here. Actually, we'll play it right here. Probably the best way. We could see it come back to that 42.12 area, but ultimately, I don't think it's a pullback. I mean, like how I like that. Well, I guess it would be a pullback. Yeah, let me put it like that. It could be a pullback. You're right. But a pullback to pick up buyers and create sellers so that we can go back up, I think.
All right. Let's check
Hmm.
out. Let's take a moment here to check the great comment feeds. I don't have the comment machine working right now because it decided to update itself without letting me know.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna do this manually here, and I'm gonna look at the comment machine and say, "Oh my gosh, look, Fire Chicken is here in the house. What's up, DYOR Media Network? Kaching's in the house. Welcome, Kaching. No sound effect for you today. Don't have that machine working either. I'm still working from the basement of a remote location, and
I'm in remote.
um, now sorry if you can hear everybody else talking in the room here. It's kind of busy here with dishes and people scurrying around. But anyway, crypto unicorns, welcome to the house. And also Connect Me One, welcome to the house, everybody. As always, here, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to take this time to thank everyone for watching, and um, especially you guys on Rumble. Many of you watch on Rumble on your smart TVs. I can see it in the statistics that I know you're out there, and many of you are not subscribed because you're watching on your smart TV. Makes it difficult to be interactive. All you got to do is take your phone, go to rumble.com, sign up with Google. You just use your Google login or your Facebook login. I think maybe your Apple login, whatever. You can sign in easily, takes 1 minute, and search DYOR Media. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a follow, give us some feedback. Whatever it is, let us know. We're here to interact with you. That's why we do a live show, not a recorded show. A lot of people get a lot more viewers doing a recorded show because they're able to promote it and spend money getting the word out amongst everybody that their show exists. But the live shows, we got to go on our own merits here, ladies and gentlemen. And we're moving and grooving up the charts in Rumble. So thank you very much. Chris, CEO of Rumble, if you're watching us, please get in touch with us. We want to join forces. We're one of your top crypto creators, and we'd like to get together with you guys for trade shows. So get in there. So if you're watching from the Rumble main offices, get Chris to us, please. Thank you very much. It's not like we haven't tried, but you guys are quite busy, I found out.
Which is good.
uh,
We expect it. I
yep,
want you guys to be busy. I want them to
exactly.
keep
Very
getting busier.
busy,
The
very
busier, the better.
profitable.
And yeah,
Right.
keep it going. You guys are keeping up. The biggest key that I love about Rumble, and I mean, I'm not. This is not no shill or anything like that. Just the fact is that you do allow people to speak freely. You allow them, whether it's left, right, crazy woke, or crazy alt. Excuse me, crazy woke right, crazy woke left, because extremes, they're just nuts. And on the back end, though, you allow them to communicate and talk, and you give them a platform, which allows everybody to sit there and say, oh, they really are idiots. And then you give us central guys the ability to communicate and talk as well, and we're not lambasted. Otherwise, anyways, I just appreciate what they're doing, and keep it up. And I pray that you guys keep getting more busier.
More busier, but you know where we're gonna get more busier right now, Pedro?
Are we having coffee?
No, but I I think the coffee will come a little bit later right now. But what we're gonna do, uh, ooh, it's way over here. Ladies and gentlemen, as you've probably noticed, Rumble is growing fast, and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad free viewing across the platforms, no pre rolls, no interruption, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind the scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Jump to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. Get $10 off. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, right next to me here, there's a QR code. If you're watching on your big screen TV, go ahead, hold your phone up, click that, go visit our advertisers, let them know that you're interested and even just alive and breathing by visiting the site. And it really helps Pedro and I just merely visiting. Also, if you're watching on your phone, in the chat section right here, there's a link for you. Also, and if you happen to be watching on the replay here, in the description and in the comment section below, there are links to signing up for Rumble Premium. There's always the register button too below me right here as well. So get to it. Thanks to Rumble for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. All righty. I'm working on a laptop here instead of my normal dual monitor and separate computer and all that. So it takes me longer to do everything.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's not a.
All right, Pedro. Today is today's that day.
Today is a day. I would agree.
Today,
And
today's a day, but it's the day. It's the day. Oh, you know what? I don't have this set up for the YouTube people to watch. Anyway, for the Rumble people, you know what Tuesday is, right? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Technical Tuesday.
as you introduce it and talk about it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what Technical Tuesday is, don't you? Technical Tuesday is the day that we go over. Hold on, like I said, I'm working a little slow here today. Technical Tuesday is the day we bring you the world's leading economic indicators and teach you why the big numbers from around the world, what the dollar is doing, what's gold's doing, what the Chinese stock market is doing, the yen, the Japanese yen currency, what US bonds are doing, their prices and their yields. All of these come together and tell you what's going on with the economy. And if you can understand these numbers, you can understand the economy and which way it's going before anyone on the news even tells you. Not only that, but if you listen to Pedro, I'll say Pedro and I, but mostly Pedro. If you listen to him, you'll know that the media has been leading you astray, and possibly even that the government's leading you astray because the numbers don't lie. As Pedro likes to say, and a number of other people on the internet like to say in the technical analysis world, show me the charts and I'll show you the news. That always rings true because we'll just come out and say it once again, even though we talk about it a lot. Starting about 2 years ago, Pedro was just flummoxed by why the bond market was doing the opposite of what it should be doing. Bond market yields were going up, and he's like, "It's not something's wrong here. If the economy is really doing well, and the economy and the employment is good, and spending all this kind of stuff is good, then the people that vote with their money, the people that buy the U.S. government bonds, would not be demanding higher yields." It turns out they were demanding higher yields because they knew one thing, that the media and the government were lying to us about the jobs report. And just today, ladies and gentlemen, I shouldn't say just today, I should say recently, we learned that under the Biden administration, the numbers were cooked and far off, whether they're inaccurate intentionally or not, or just nobody gave a shit to make them accurate is unknown. And then during the Trump administration, the numbers were wildly revised, and Trump just said, "That's it, I'm firing you guys," at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and said, "We're going to bring in some new people. We're going to put the data on chain, all this kind of stuff." And not only that, I want you guys to go through and revise everything. They came out today saying they were down almost 1 million jobs. Not this month, but revising the old number, saying that everyone was way optimistic. And that pretty, Pedro, I'd say that pretty much jives with what you were talking about
Yeah.
for the numbers.
When you look at like you're like, well, it's only 1 million, but when you think about it, like we're talking 100,000 jobs, like 90 to 100,000 jobs on a monthly basis. The system, or that's a big deal because when they're claiming that, oh, we've increased jobs by 200,000 or 150,000 or 235,000. And the reason why I'm saying this because there were certain numbers that it was a shock to the market. We saw the market just scream up, and because of these numbers, people are like, "Oh, the market, the job market or the labor market is phenomenal. Look, it's not soft." And the reality is, it was absolutely either incompetency or just lying. And I 2 years prior and throughout this entire period we were showing you guys, look, CPI correlated with the PPI, correlated with job numbers and payrolls. When we're looking at where they're coming from, how it's coming, one of the biggest things I used to always say was literally, how is it that we're watching the housing market go up, but it's really not going up because they're being I say fake. I don't mean like fake numbers as in actual people buying, but fake numbers as in these were actual loans that were being created by the developers for people to buy because they didn't want to go completely bust. And so they said, you know what?
Wait, does that have to do with the jobs report?
It has everything to do with the jobs
Okay,
report.
just making sure you're on track.
It's all right. Because here's the thing, if you have jobs and you're seeing increases in your pay, then these kids would be buying houses. And if these houses are being bought, then what is created when houses are bought? Jobs, 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 jobs. And you can really see the nuance difference here when people go in and see an increase in pay. When you see increase in pay, but then you also see a drop in unemployment or see an increase in unemployment, this is a bad situation because you literally then see, like, wait, how is it that we had drop in unemployment, but yet the payroll goes up? And so it's like there was these nuances here that were really hitting hard. Plus, with a drop in real buying of real estate was just it was a smoke and mirrors. And I kept bringing this up throughout over the last 2 years, and now that it's finally kind of getting flushed out, we're really starting to see what it's about. I mean, I feel vindicated, but then at the same time, it's like we are so bad, like America's so bad that all, almost all of, actually, even I hear all of them, all Federal Reserves are literally going out. They're selling their dollars and basically going out and buying gold. And so we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna, this the fact this could have been avoided much sooner. We could have
Right.
we could have righted the the ship
Ship.
here. Thank you. Righted the ship here. I feel like the word righted is sounds weird because the way I'm saying it for whatever reason. But we could have done this in Biden's administration. We really could have. Biden could have brought. I mean, Biden ran on bringing the nation together and really helping out.
Right.
And
Well, Pedro, I'm going to
yeah,
try and keep you on track here a
yeah,
little bit, but I want to bring it back to why, if you had listened to our show, it was important. It was important to listen to our show because getting the information would have made you a lot of money. The jobs report, if you'd listen to Pedro saying it's not working out, they're hiding something. The numbers, it's gloomier. And then all of a sudden you hear the Fed talking about it, saying, "Oh, it's gloomier." And it turns out Pedro is right. If you had listened to us back then and said, "You know what? I'm going to invest in something nice and safe," and when the economy is going into the tank, and gold, you would have earned 50% on your money in the past 6 months or something like that.
Yeah,
In the time that Pedro's been talking about this, you could have even 100% of your money. No, not 100%, but but
well,
a massive gain just by investing in gold. Anyway, Pedro, I don't want to interrupt your technical Tuesday talk. I was
mm,
just bringing back the importance of listening to good information on this show and how you could take advantage of it in the markets.
absolutely. And by the way, thank you to all those who are watching us. We appreciate every one of you guys. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, we would appreciate it. Now let's go ahead and jump into the charts here because the charts don't lie because the charts are the things that tell you where the money's going. So, one thing that I always bring up is we want to check out the euro. I forget what it's called. It's basically every single. I actually need to go and just rememberize. I need to put my notes right here and go. This is what it's called, and almost phonetically spell it out. Anyways, so it is one of those things that this chart basically encapsulates the whole entire global market at large and basically goes over everything that um, all the big stock markets, China's stock markets, Russia's stock market, everything all together. And so we can sit there and see what's happening here. You can see that the majority of the markets are definitely just going up. You can see this. But again, I think if America starts to fall apart, and we start to see things happening, we're going to see this come down. And I think seeing it go from 177 to 161 is a good starting point. And then we'll watch after that. But this is one of those things. Again, even though we're going higher, you're watching volume go high, or we're watching volume drop off. Yet we're watching price continue higher. And so this is where, for me, I would expect us to see a pullback if America just starts, if we see our stock market starting to fall apart as well. Now let's go ahead here real quick and pull up further. Let's check out the S&P 500. S&P 500 looks pretty similar to that chart because we're pretty much the largest market cap um, within that whole entire mechanism. And so it pretty much looks like the American market. You can see here that we're seeing volume just consistently go down. As yet, we still are continuing to hit higher highs. Again, we've broken a few of these major moving averages. So you can see we've been playing on the 8 and 20. We came down to the 50, we hit it. But when we hit it, we didn't really hit a lot of volume with it. And so you can sit there and see on this day when we came down, we hit a lot more seller volume than buyer volume. We came in, and it's just been just kind of consolidating here. Now, I'm not saying it can't go up because people have talked about the melt up, right? The melt up is basically between 5,500 to 7,500. So this thing could get up to the 7,500 area. I don't think it's going to, because with everything that's happening with the Federal Reserve and the whole entire correlation with, some people think that Trump stopped talking about the gold situation because we may not have gold down in Fort Knox. So it's kind of a scary thing. He hasn't brought it up anymore, and he's focusing more on geopolitical situations that basically trying to get him into heaven by through good works, even though I don't believe you can. But that's a side note. But you can see here that he wants to kind of help with that. And so, long story short, if we start to see a sell off, where are we going to go? We bounced off of this area already here at that 62 area. Next level here, if we do start to sell off, we're going to cut through this if we sell off. And the next area is going to be at that 58.89 if we do. Now, what I'm looking at is that weekly chart. The weekly chart and the monthly chart is what I'm looking at right now on the S&P 500. Now, we're going to go into the S&P 500 into the Nasdaq, and as the Nasdaq is playing, it's going to then correlate with BTC. But we need to kind of go over kind of the meta view, and then we kind of narrow down kind of from a top was it top base analysis. So you can see here, we came in, we tapped this area, we closed high, and we're moving up. We had a decent wick for the demand wick, But the key point is this: is we're not watching a ton of volume really come in. You can see here over the last few months, it's just been dying off, right? So you can see volume after volume just dying off as we've had this 6 month rally. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, excuse me, 5 month rally. So it's just one of those things that I expect us to pull back. We potentially could hit the lows here of that 5,900 and then push back up again. If this does happen, this is where I do expect to see the Fed really step in and create a basis point. I talked about earlier about how Polymarket has a ton of money that the Fed is going to lower rate in September.
Wait, how much money did you say bet? Like 50 million or something?
It's something like that. Yeah, we'll pull it. I think what a Polymarket here. And maybe I have it wrong. Maybe I don't read it, I haven't read it right, but it's basically the Fed decision in September of a 50 point basis drop. You have 14% sitting at a 50 point basis point, and you have 80% at 25%. If I was the Fed, I realized I was reading it wrong. I would bet on the 14% and pocket part of that $56 million ante that's being done. I mean, right? Like what? But I mean, who knows?
You Pedro, you can't tell me that there isn't some functionary in there that knows what's gonna happen for the rate
Right.
cut.
Oh, absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
isn't got a burner phone, texting their cousin in Mexico saying, "You know what? Take all the money and put it on this side." It's just
Yeah.
it has to it can't not happen
Right.
unless they do that Fed rate cut meeting in a skiff, a
Mhm.
room that for the non-military people or secret and classified people, that's the room that you can talk in and not have worries about anyone spying on you. Super secret inside. And it, I mean, we heard about the controls they have to put on just to get the Bureau of Labor Statistics to release
Yeah.
the jobs numbers so people don't front run them.
Yep.
I got to imagine the Fed has similar controls. But Pedro, this is trying to follow the schedule here. We're going to take
Mhm.
a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back here. Um, Surely, Pedro, it's going to take me a second to get the mics off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us or staying with us during our quick break there. We always need to, as they say, take care of the bio break and refill the coffees and do all that kind of great stuff. But Pedro, you and I were talking. Well, first of all, let me try to attempt to do what I've been trying to do. Welcome everybody to the second half hour of DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom. Man in the box above me is Pedro, and we're here to bring you on Technical Tuesday the world's economic indicators. What's going on in the world and how it affects your bag. Speaking of what's going on in the world, Pedro, Israel and Qatar have gotten into a little mix-up here. Um, what the heck happened there?
Yeah. So it looks like Israel went after Hamas in Qatar and started dropping bombs there. Or not dropping bombs, but going through and setting off bombs in Qatar. Hamas basically says that they kill, and I think I have actually right here. Hamas leader survives Israel strike on Doha, but son of one leader killed. Sky, this is actually from Sky News. And basically, Hamas vows to kill all of Israel. So, Hamas leader's son, who was not part of this, was killed. And so there's a lot of
Well,
this,
Qatar has made a big mistake, Pedro. And I
yeah,
lived in the Middle
how
East for a while and worked there for a long time. And Qatar is one of the countries that they literally have been given the world's gift to the earth, and that is oil. They were given the keys to money, and the current emir of Qatar kind of had we'll call it a soft coup d'état, in which he asked his father not to come back to the country. His father was out of the country for I can't remember what it was. I have a feeling it was medically related, and he took over the kingdom or something. I don't have that story exact, but anyway, the father was very in with the G8 countries, the Gulf, uh, not the G8, the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Oman, Bahrain, etc. And his son was actually a little bit more fervently aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood, that has been a pain in the keister for many of the Arabic countries, and was the chief cause of the Arab Spring a while ago, and has been a huge problem in Egypt. It's such a problem in the Middle East that many countries are rather authoritarian towards it. And as soon as they see a little bit of the political end of the Muslim Brotherhood, they they bite off the whole thing before it becomes a military end of it. And the Qatar guy, new guy in Qatar, started talking to the guys in Iran against all the other GCC countries' advice. Like, whoa, 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 these guys want to kill us. We want peace, all this type of stuff. And it was a big problem. And the other countries even banned Qatar Airways from landing at any of their airports and stuff, and started to isolate them, recalled their ambassadors. And the guy said, "Okay, all right, sorry, I got a little out of control in Qatar." And then it turns out, Pedro, on October roughly 8th, 2023, we learned that all of the Hamas leaders are essentially living in luxury in Qatar.
mhm.
And are worth billions of dollars, and they've taken all the aid money and spirited off to Qatar and all this type of stuff. And everyone's like, "Come on, man, come on, this isn't right. This isn't right." And I guess that's a much longer story, but the point is that today it seems that Israel had enough of it. Um,
What was also interesting is to see. Now we know that the UAE knows about this. I mean, like they know, like
sure,
everybody
they
knows
sure
this
do.
isn't that, and yet the UAE has literally said Israel has gone too far, and they're going to um, do whatever it needs or put how much money they need to stop this. So this potentially could have set World War III off today. It could have been the shot heard around the world with the Archduke for World War I. What's his name? Ferdinand, Archduke
Yeah,
Ferdinand,
Archduke Ferdinand.
and that that circumstance. This could be that situation, and I hope I'm wrong. We did not see much of the SP 500 sell off. It did start to rally, which was interesting. Like we saw, like this happened pre-market, and so we saw the market around 7:30, which was really interesting, start to rally a little right off the first 5 minutes. But we didn't really have a lot of volume. What was interesting is as they started to move up, I thought we were going to do a breakout, and then just it just fell off the cliff. So I don't know if this is good news or bad news for the market, but I'm using this as as a way to sit there and say if things keep popping off and we see an escalation of the Middle East get in, and we start to have the Muslim Brotherhood, and we start to see really a push within within this circumstance for war, expect I would expect to see a drop in the stock market for a bit, right? We should see a sell off, people running to gold even more,
Right.
Bitcoin potentially. But this is one of those things. In addition to that, yesterday we did see a major hack, or this month we had seen a major hack happening with blockchains. A lot of preset coding that has been established for many of the blockchains was actually set with, I think, a malware virus or some type of virus that basically goes in and pulls money out of people's wallets, except for cold wallets, and some cold wallets have been able to get hacked by this system because they use this preset code for their actual software that they had. And so Russia has been slightly going in and basically pulling. Speaking of Russia, thank you for deleting us. uh
Wrong button.
it's all good, it's all right. I just thought it was a good joke. um Russia has been
Sorry, I didn't mean to do it again.
You're good. Slightly siphoning a lot of money out of crypto, and literally has made it. I mean, they said, well, we think it is. We don't know who created this type of virus, but the fact that Russia did come out and say America is using crypto to pay off their debt, stop buying crypto, um, was a very kind of telling sign with what we discovered this week. So I think it's interesting that they are really pursuing the route in which they're pursuing. And with the war situation going on, so crypto basically could be kind of crippling from within for now. But one thing I love about crypto is like the internet. You just basically kind of work it out and then move forward. So that's what's kind of cool. That's why they call it Web3, right? It's not
No
dead.
stopping it.
There really is no stopping it. So we're watching these situations right now. Kind of, I mean, it's been a slow burn, but it looks like a ton of wood was thrown on the fire, and with a little bit of gasoline, and along with it. So I'm expecting some type of pullback again. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news and bullet and bearishness, but I do. So we talked about the S&P 500. Let's talk about now the Nasdaq and how it correlates with everything else. Um, we're seeing, like I said, the correlation between the Nasdaq here of volume. You can see here that we've seen the volume dropping here over the last couple months. And I'm kind of watching this month right now on the Nasdaq. If we continue to go higher, but we keep seeing the volume dropping, that is a warning sign of not impending doom, but just enough to where we should see at least a couple months sell off, like what we saw back in February and in March, right? And even into April, right? The huge just sell off come in. So that's what I'm expecting to see as we move forward. Now, let's talk about bonds and what's actually happening there. We're first going to go over yields, and we're going to talk about how the traders are currently right now in short-term
Hey,
yields.
sorry, Mikester. My graphic machine isn't working today. Otherwise, I would have this information up right now. But
What's going on?
I'll try it in the. I'll try to keep it going.
What happened?
I don't have the graphics machine working today, so there's no thing there that says U.S. bonds or Bitcoin or anything like that.
Oh, am
Uh,
I going too fast? So I need to slow it down. And
no, no. I don't have the machine. I'm remote today. I don't have
yep,
the graphics machine working.
I got it. Okay.
Maybe remove the DYOR banner. Yeah, maybe I can work on that for you today, Mike.
Alrighty. So you guys can see here that people are already prepping. The traders are already prepping for the short-term yield drop here. So um, you can see here that on the 1 month, they're already starting to drop it over the last few days as we start to get near the what's the word I want to use? Doomsday. I mean, no, sorry. Due date on the on dropping. Here's the thing, because we're watching people lose jobs, we're seeing people, in addition to that, not getting pay raises that is keeping in front of inflation. People are still hurting, and especially now that they're going to start seeing. I mean, literally, Conoco is late. I mean, what was it? 50% or 25% of um, their workforce, which is in the energy sector, that correlates with crude oil. And we've talked about, people don't have money to travel, right? Then people don't have money to spend, right? If people don't have money to do all these other things, then we're going to see a slowdown with crude oil. And as this starts to happen, you may be artificially picked up by speculators that think, okay, we have war coming, we're going to see it push up. But ultimately, it's going to come down because we have a lack of demand for actual crude oil. And so there's a lot of things that correlate here that I'm expecting to see happen, right? So if people don't have money, they can't keep up with inflation, right? And they're losing jobs. What? Like, and this is where Trump is talking about. Jerome Powell, you waited too long to drop rates. And now that we actually have real job deflation, right? We have real situations happening here because of the lack of, um, uh, uh, what's the word I want to use? What word is it? Clarity and real authenticity to the jobs. There wasn't any real, like, there wasn't in on his side any real necessity to lower rates. And on top of that, America's debt has been building because the rates have been higher. So it's just been one of those circumstances that as the as a long-term situation happens, people will expect for more. I mean, honestly, people are not willing to take American debt for lower rates. You can drop the rate, but are people going to buy those bonds with the uncertainty that we're seeing right now in the current market? I don't know. So I think when people come to the bond market, they're going to require the U.S. to pay more money for their debt, regardless you drop in the rate or not. It really is not going to matter because people just went, "No, I don't care what the rate is. Y'all are crazy, and y'all need to pay me more money." And America will have to pay more money on their debt because the rest of the world isn't willing. I mean, the rest of the world is running into gold. So you can see here in preparation for the rate drop, whether it's 50 basis points and or 25, it doesn't matter. I expect this really to kind of come down to that 330 or 339, 340 area, to the 325 area, or really 350 to 325 area. And you're like, Pedro, that's 100 basis points. I know, I get it. Like, they will have to keep dropping it once Americans feel safe and businesses can actually get money from banks to start small business loans. And then in additionally to that, we start to see real manufacturing happening here in America because the US dollar has been dropping. It makes it more advantageous for other countries outside of the United States to do business with us. Right? This is where we'll start to see a generation of new innovation come out in America. But this is what I was talking about yesterday. Of Generation Xers going, we're going to have to bite the bullet here. We're going to have to say no to um, a lot of the amenities that they receive, and then see a drop in, or see an increase in taxes because we've got to pay down that debt. We got to get it going. I talked about this yesterday, that debt is literally accruing at $1 trillion every 100 years and speeding up.
100,
And let,
days.
excuse me, 100 days. What did I say? 100 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that'd be great. That would be 100 every 100 days, or excuse me, 1 trillion every 100 days, and that's speeding up. Let alone, let's just keep moving forward here. So we have this situation. These situations means you can actually short this, and that you can actually go online, short this. This is actually the 1 month yield bond. You can short it from basically 420, from where it was run out to 416, all the way down to the 313. We know that the Fed will most likely drop rates because we know that the job numbers are basically soft. Let's go ahead and go into 3 month. 3 month is already starting to accelerate. You can see here, I'm expecting this to go even further. Now, as we get closer to the long end of the curve here, you can see here that they've actually, boom, 10 year, sorry. The 10-year is dropping off, but I do expect to see the 10-year kind of, once it gets down to that 384 area here, I think people will want it at it. I think that's going to be a good level there, that 384. I think people will sit there, or it's 375, is what I'm talking about. And so that area there, I think, is going to be a good area. I think if I'm looking to take part in America, if they can slow down on, again, this is, we don't know if this is going to happen, but if the U.S. debt, or if the U.S. government can stop spending so much money, balance their budget, and get things up and running, or put so much money in innovation that we see just take off, banks could somewhat break ahead at that 380 or 375 area, right? Which is basically, if we can get inflation around 3%, this would act as a major point within the market. Right, I think that's where the turning point is going to happen. But it all depends. Are banks going to loan out to investors, or not investors, to business owners to keep things up and running? I hope, fingers crossed, if that happens,
they're not going to do that without collateral, and if the equity in people's houses goes down, then the amount of loans going to small businesses is definitely going down.
Great. Now, when you look at already our area here, we saw on the 30-year yield that we saw the sell-off came into our area up here of that 510 area, or the 5% area, and now we've seen it come back down to the 7 or the 471 area here. You can play these on the CME, and I believe there are crypto products now that will allow you to be able to trade these as well. And so I know right now we're working on that deal with that company. So once it starts to come in, we'll be able to be good.
Hey, Pedro, it looks like their shit crashed again. Hold on 1 second. At least I figured out why it crashed. I did something that I did yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, you can probably still hear us on the voice here. Let me make sure ladies and gentlemen, just a second here to relaunch the old software program here. Good news is that happened to us yesterday, and for some reason I decided to repeat what I did yesterday when it crashed. It crashed again, but we'll be with you shortly. Enjoy the starting to come back here, ladies and gentlemen. It's hurting. No, our voices are live, but
our feeds are not. All right, guys. So while Tom is taking care of that, let's talk about some of the news also coming out. Right. Basically, what's been happening with the new bombing, or I wouldn't say bombing. I mean, I guess it is, but Israel said that America gave them the go-ahead about us basically bombing. Qatar was like, get to the Qatar, to us. And America was like, wait, we didn't know. They just said we knew? Nah. So I don't know if this is like, hey, Israel, you're supposed to say anything. And Now we got to stab you in the back now, right? Because it's going to be good. We've always backed Israel. In addition to that, the idea that the tariffs are happening now, even more so with Trump. So the rest of the world could potentially get really upset with America again if we were really backing Israel. We could see some circumstances even heat up with the tariffs saying the rest of the world. I mean, it's just literally upset with Israel. They don't agree with what they're doing with,
right.
You know, and so that geopolitical tension is a real situation, and it could really kind of backfire on what we're trying to do with the tariff situation. In addition to that, China outright came out and said that it firmly stands with India opposing President Trump's tariffs. Now, if that really starts to sit, and they just refuse, if we don't have China and we don't have Modi really backing us, our supply chain is going to halt. Now, there are going to be other people, but the fact is that we're already starting to see a small, recession kick in. We're actually in a recession, but they just don't call that recession. You look at the job numbers and everything now, how it's all calculated. We've been in a recession for a while now, but it's finally coming out. So we potentially could begin going into a small depression. If we go into that, okay, it could either be a good thing. Sorry, let me know when our screens are up and running.
All right, I'll be just a minute here.
That's all. I'll just keep going here. What I foresee is Modi is very prideful, or not prideful. He's a proud person, and he knows that India, even though they're not maybe the best at producing goods and services, if Modi, China, and Russia can have their own trade go between them, they can build things up themselves. They have enough capital with India and with China, where they both could swap things very easily. So Trump needs to figure out a way to backtrack. And if he did give the go-ahead, right, he needs to come out and say, yeah, I gave the go-ahead, but you didn't expect this. Like, this is too far, right? He needs to publicly come out and say, Israel, you need to stop. You do not have our support. If he does this, the rest of the world is going to vilify America for allowing this to happen, even though, okay, and you know what, and this either, I don't know if I'm going to do this week or next week, but I need to check to see it like that. Remember how you mentioned about my ancestry thing?
Yeah.
I mean, now you got me curious. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, legit. Like, if they could be in Qatar and set up a bomb and do things like they've done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm not. You got me really thinking. But on the back end, like, they've got to figure out a way. Israel's got to figure out a way to be able to be more stealth in there. They're going to do something. They got to be able to mitigate these issues because they're rallying real fighting. People are fighting, and they're going, and people won't necessarily care about money when lives are at stake here. So I'm expecting these situations to kind of keep getting worse. Basically, let me know when you're finished.
All right, we're live on video again.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for hearing me ramble and just the thoughts of an insane Mexican here. Jewish, Irish, Italian, Mexican here. So there you go. Boom. So let's check out the 30-year bounce off of our area here again, that 4 or the 5% area here, and came back down to that 470. The next bubble here, if it breaks through, would honestly be down at that weekly area here, and it's going to be a pretty far drop. So actually, no, because that 100-day or that 100 period moving average is definitely going to hold. I don't see it not. Do we have a zone there? No, we do not. We have the 400 period moving average. So this is always a little difficult because I always like to have my zones with my moving averages, but we could potentially see either break of that 470 area and come down potentially to that 450 area here. But after that, if that doesn't hold, we're coming all the way down to the 430 and potentially all the way down to the 375 area. 4 to 375 area on the 30-year yield here. Now let's check out our bonds, because with a lot of the bond situation going on, we talked about it going up. This was going to be a Trumpian play. We talked about it back in when was this? Back in February. We saw it shoot up all the way to that 121 area. And can they see these numbers? No, they cannot. I'll do that like that. This was the area that we were talking about, it jumping back all the way up to here. This was back in January. We saw it go from the 112 all the way to the 121. We saw a pullback over the situation that we thought that a lot of people thought that the Fed was going to drop rates, and in addition to that, it was going to be in America, just new boom, and the new great America dream was going to kick off again. But we've been seeing some snags there. So, but with the latest news of interest rates going down, bonds have been going up, and so we bounced off of this 20 or the 400-day period moving average with this zone area here. If we do pull back, I'm expecting us to pull back to the 114 area off of the 8-period moving average, finding support here. If that does, I would expect it easily to get past that 121 area and capture the 129 area on these zones here, literally because we've already traded through that 121 area, and the next area is honestly the 128, 129. So potentially on a bond move, we can expect to see, especially if we see them drop rates, this would push the market up. But this is all if people are willing to buy American bonds. So we're gonna find out if it really does. Give me 1 second. Something just popped up on my phone. Okay. So that's what kind of expect. That's what I'm expecting to see in the 30-year bond, 10-year bond. Similar situation is kind of going. We've talked about that 121, 122 area on the bonds. I'm pretty positive we're going to capture that here in the next 2-3 months as things start to really progress on the long term. The fact that we're seeing fiscal responsibility in regards to reporting the correct numbers, I think is going to put good sentiment over the long run, over the next 10 to 20 years. So this is why I think the need for the long-term bonds have definitely been picking up. Literally primarily because people sit there and go, well, if they're really looking at the numbers and they're really seeing things here correctly now, this is going to put a fire underneath the American people. So I'd expect them to really pick up. So that's why I'm assuming that people are really wanting to buy bonds. Also, we know that crypto, which we've talked about multiple times now, becoming the buyer of last resort, right? If we see crypto really start to pick up and the value of people buying stable coins, what they're going to need to do is they will need to buy bonds. And so there's going to be a mixture of people wanting to speculate on America's future. But in addition to that, you're going to see a huge increase as crypto really takes adoption around the world, where people buy into USD as they buy into USDT or USDC or whatever stable coin, whether that's through Walmart stable coin or whether that's through Amazon stable coin. Either way, they still got to buy for a 1-to-1 ratio for the law to be satiated, that they need a 1-to-1 ratio. So they have to either buy US treasuries or they have to go through and that's pretty much it, right? They have to buy US treasuries in a sense, or a form of equity. And so that would act as people to want to buy the 10-year yield and the 20-year yield. You can see they've all kind of looked the same thing. 20, 30, right? We talked about we're in this box here, so I'm expecting us to kind of get back up here. Boom.
That's an interesting. Well, I guess looking at the bond chart, the rises are always steep as a reaction to bad news. I guess they don't. Looking at the chart, they don't usually creep What time frame is that chart? A daily chart?
Mhm.
Not a lot of consolidation in the bond market.
Mhm.
It's either up or down. Good news, bad news. Good news, bad news.
So
That is certainly chart. I'm not looking to see. Welcome, Crypto Mike, to the house.
what's up, Crypto
Thanks
Mike?
for joining us. Really appreciate it. Got the comment machine working fine. The comment machine is actually what broke the software, if you can believe it or not.
Oh wow.
Well, I know. That's, and as they say, that sucks.
So let's go ahead and talk about now the VIX. With all this craziness that's happened, we're watching the VIX just chill out, which is crazy to me. Like 20 years ago, what happened in Qatar would have sent the VIX screaming up.
You're so used to the U.S. and Israel and everyone else just bombing everybody that the markets are like, meh, it's fine.
Yeah, like it's just crazy to sit there and see it. So I'm still paying attention to this. So if I start to see this really climb, you know that something's really about to happen. So right now we're still within safe ranges. We did pick up last week, but we sold off. So I'm kind of waiting to see what's going to happen there. Nothing really to say about that. What's this? Bank of America. No, not that one. Yeah, here we go. So what's interesting to watch is the US dollar to the yuan. I'm paying attention. We're watching it kind of sell off here. And so it's almost one of those things that this is supposed to be as the US dollar drops, we watch the yuan go up. So this is the US dollar dropping at this level. Now, what's interesting with this chart is that means that yuan should be going up. Yet we know that they've been artificially messing with their currency. So we're going to wait and see what correlates, but we want to pay attention to this chart. This one here is the shekel. This was the shekel. No.
The shekel. Ira, get some more shekels.
Never mind.
It's a funny line from what was the guy that plays the move, the odd couple, the Jewish guy in it, and he's talking about getting some more shekels. It is a funny movie line.
Yeah. Let me go ahead. Let's go to the PGJ. We're watching again. We talked about how this level here last week on the PGJ was going to get blown through, and we're watching it go up even higher. This is again China's. This is the American version of China's ETF. You can see here that we blew through this area here now. It's going to continue. It's going to be really interesting to see how far this goes, right? That correlates here. And there's a lot of money, I think, happening that's being invested into this by the CCP to basically posture within the world. And they're saying, look, our economy is doing good, even though we know from an actual number standpoint, like they're refusing to really report their numbers. And we can actually see energy usage that is actually happening in China is going down, which means that manufacturing is going down, which means that jobs are not actually happening. So because of that said, we're watching it really kind of just push up for no real reason. And yeah, again, this is crazy. This is literally crazy town, just like America's stock market crazy town. And how far will this go? Well, that 40 area here is the next level here. I would expect it to see it kind of come up, push through, come back down, and come back up. So it's going to be that 40.32 area to the 29.19 area here on the PGJ. Let's go into the US dollar here. So we talked about a bounce back up into these levels of the 89, and I thought that we were going to see a US dollar get back up to about 102, 103, but this is actually starting to fall through. And so we have a couple liquidity areas here. This area's already been hit. So this is the area that we were talking about going long again and going back up, right? But just from a charting standpoint, this looks like it wants to come down. So that next area, if we see the US dollar, probably will not stop at that 96 area. We'll probably see a $95, 94 area kind of come down to this level. This all depends also on if Modi decides to kind of bend the knee. Now, they're not doing too well. India is not doing fully well because nobody's really buying their stuff here in America because America is slowing down. Europe is slowing down as well. Um, and a lot of other Africa doesn't. I mean, there's really no other countries out there that will buy everybody's stuff. So if we see a slowdown, that means it's going to be a slowdown in trade because people are literally holding on to their money right now because people are kind of afraid of what's going to happen. So I would expect to see a USDT. It was a nice little play. We caught this. We caught the pullback here. We caught it up to that 100 area, but it's kind of pulled back now. And I'm expecting to see this is a change in direction. I was talking about that 102, 103 area, but we are pulled back here. I'm kind of like, I want to see us get above the 8 period moving average before we resume that long here. Right now, we're below. And so and it looks like it's picking up steam here. So I expect us to see us come down into that 106 area again, come back and retest that and move forward. Let's talk about gold. Gold has been the primary culprit of a lot of this. Third hour, half hour. Yes, go ahead, brother.
No,
Um,
you ran long, so I just skipped ahead to the.
no, no, go
Um,
ahead.
no, go ahead, and we'll do the commercial break at the bottom of the hour. In
Got you, got you. Um, Sorry about that.
now you can
Let's
see the
go.
timer advancing here quickly.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, it's looking like it's about to happen right now. So,
No, I got 2 minutes on the timer. Go ahead.
oh, okay. So you can see here that crude oil. I was just gonna we'll do gold at the top of the hour or once we come back here. Not the top, but the halfway of the hour. You can see here that at the market, we've seen it pull back here on crude oil. And we've talked about it coming down to these lower levels here because the demand that we see in America isn't really what they are expecting. And as we start to really see a slowdown in the economy, when you look at this, you can see here on the weekly chart that we last week we put in a big supply wick here. We saw the sell off come in. And it wasn't with a ton of volume, but it was still more volume than on the previous week and roughly about the same that we saw within this right here. So I would expect to see crude oil come back down to this lower level here again, either here at that $60, $59 barrel, or potentially again, we're going to come and tap that 55 area on crude oil. And this could potentially hurt America, as well as a lot of other places around the world. So I don't know if this is being strategically planned and they're really fighting this to push us, but there isn't necessarily demand for crude oil right now because people aren't driving.
Hmm.
And yeah, let you. Oh, did I hit it? No, sorry. Okay. So next we'll go ahead and do gold.
No, it's wait, hold on. Does your timer say 26 seconds?
No, no, it
It says
literally
20, 19, 18, 17, 16,
15.
15,
No, so all
14.
I see is DYOR live, and then it shows like that red line, but it doesn't show me the
Are you
actual
looking at the
timer.
one that says the Q sheet or whatever it's called?
No, I'm looking at the one that's on my phone that you gave to me.
Yeah, that one should be. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new feature that Pedro and I are using to try and to keep it going here. Yeah, it's a stage timer on the side there. It says 7 seconds left. I paused it at 7 seconds. That's the countdown timer.
Hmm.
See, now she'll say 6, 5. You probably can't see that. It's probably too small, right?
No, I can't see it at all, but we'll talk about
Oh.
that. Okay.
That's what I figured. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, uh, let's go ahead and take um, for you guys on YouTube. You're gonna go to commercial break. Pedro and I are going to figure out, not figure out. We're gonna do a Rumble ad here. as soon as I can figure out where I left off here. For those of you on YouTube, stand by. We'll be with YouTube, X, Twitch, and all the other platforms. We'll be back with you shortly here.
Strength, primarily because the Federal Reserves around the world are literally buying gold on the open market. Plus, they're competing with two of the other major nations around the world, i.e., China and as well as Russia, are three, and India. So these countries are out there buying as much gold as possible and competing with China and competing with the Federal Reserves. So real interesting to sit there and see what's actually happening here. I'm expecting this. And this is also why we're seeing a drop in the US dollar, jumping back to US dollar. The reason why I think we're going to continue going lower is literally because the Federal Reserve has kind of given up the ghost on almost a small amount, or at least around the world. They're out there just trying to buy gold and get rid of dollars right now. So if that does happen, we could see a major move in gold, and we're gonna have to reevaluate that 38. I mean, we're literally 150 points away. Today's high of 370 or excuse me, 3,000 3715's high was crazy. That's literally only 85 points away from the high here, and seeing it going is crazy. I mean, the average move in the market right now on a daily basis on gold is literally 60 points. 60 points. That is literally 2% of the daily move of its growth. So it's kind of crazy, just kind of seeing how it's moved even further. This 3801 is a big deal. We could see some big moves here. So if we blow past that 38, that the next one would be the whole number, 4,000, and we'll if we get there, which we might get there sooner than later. It'd be crazy with this move, and we start to see an acceleration of a de-dollarization throughout all of the Federal Reserves and the rest of the world. We could literally see gold become again the most valuable thing to hold. And if that does happen, we could see legitimately a 5,000 gold, and people return back to gold, almost the gold standard, and potentially a Bitcoin standard as well. Now, this is if America doesn't piss off enough people, or if we actually keep an if our politicians are smart, which at
Let's not
times they
let's
can
not
be.
get crazy now, Pedro.
I mean,
Our
at times they can.
politicians were smart.
You know, it's interesting to see, is Europe going to de-dollarize? It was crazy this past week that UK supported Israel. They said, yeah, they're okay. So I don't know, like from a geopolitical standpoint, what's actually happening here. Did the UK know that America or that Israel was going to bomb Qatar? It was actually, was it this week or last week that they came out with the support for Israel? Do you remember the
No.
UK?
But all I know is that the UK is on this high speed train to like super woke land, and has just been beating up Israel like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally, I forget where I saw that, but I know that like they came out and said, the EU literally came out and said, oh, here it is. Oh, sailor. I forget exactly. I need to find. If you could find that for me, that'd be great. EU Prime Minister, I believe, is the one who said it. But the reason I'm saying this is, if people start to really de-dollarize, and we could see an acceleration of this, we could see it get up to 5,000. I mean, really, and that is not. Obviously, there's going to be a pullback, major pullback after that. But if we get to 5,000, that means we're watching silver really pick up as well. And so let's go into silver here. So silver here is about to tap. If we see, and we could see an $80, potentially 120, $150 silver area, which is going to be crazy if it does. I mean, I just think it'll be nuts. Plus the need, like I talked about yesterday, with the need for a real demand with AI as it keeps growing for a truly superior connectivity and allowing for electrons to flow. I mean, just in all honesty. So you're going to see demand pick up for that as we keep seeing AI pick up, as we keep seeing AI get better and more efficient. So they're going to have to really fight against that eddy current as it plays against, because it basically acts as impedance for the electrons. I just sound like an idiot right now, but I'm just saying it's better that we actually silver acts as a better conduit than anything else out there. Now let's go into here real quick. Um, from a standpoint, I'm looking at that 44 to 43 area here to see it act as the market as it comes back up and see it pulls back. And the same thing with gold. Right now, gold is strong, but we're going to expect some type of pullback. So was that for me? The
No, I'm sorry, Pedro. I've hit the wrong button on the timer thing.
that's okay.
Uh,
All right. So gold, one of the things I'm looking at, like I said, is that 3,800. As we get it, as we keep getting closer to it, I'm expecting to see some form of pullback off of it. When it comes up, boom, pull back, and then find support as the eight keeps moving. So we'll see what happens here. But I'm paying attention to gold and to silver. Obviously, copper is still range bound off of what happened, and this idea of copper and gold. Copper acting as the bellwether for the economy and the need for building material. When we see copper go up, people always expect it then to really, or if we start to see it go up, it typically means that we're watching the economy grow. But right now, we're watching copper kind of stay in this range bound area of that, like two, or what is that? Oh, excuse me, 460 area. Yeah, the 460 area down to that 430 area. We're kind of in this idiot box, as Tom says.
I
And
love it.
and the key point here is this is if we see it break out of this and really start to go up again, then either China or somebody's buying it. So we'll need to find out how that what correlates there. Is that for me?
Nope, sorry. I was getting it back on the right location. Sorry, I should warn you when I'm doing that, but
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out the best way for me to think through this while doing something else. Because I was doing, Pedro, was you're talking about gold. And let me bring my thing back up. One of the concepts that I also thought about, in which you tell me a lot, is to watch out for being exit liquidity.
Mhm.
And a genius move by the big players in the gold market would be to have all these other countries' central banks be their exit liquidity. You know, so all these other countries are coming in and buying gold like crazy right now, putting a lot of their foreign currency reserves into buying it, thinking that it's going to be a good thing, which could be keep going, could go to 5,000, like you said. But what if all of a sudden the world just kind of stabilizes, and the people that be, they, as we call them, they say, all right, the world's stable now, and the markets are stable and everything's great, and the price of gold plummets, and it was planned all along, and all of a sudden the exit liquidity now, and all these everyone else now, the they, as they say, sells their gold, just like in Bitcoin when all the retail markets, it seems to me all the other central banks, the central bank of Kirpakistan, could very well easily become someone's exit liquidity, because they're kind of the retail market. The big institutionals in gold are the G7 central banks, and everyone else is kind of a small player uh, in the amount of gold that they either hold or have the capability to buy and sell on the open market. So that would be interesting. That would be an interesting play, being um, the exit liquidity of the world. Also, I took the time to ask Grok. You reference a lot of times going back to a gold standard. I did a hypothetical, and I said, what would be the price of gold if the whole world went to a single gold standard, taking into account, as a guy referred to it on Bloomberg the other day, the above ground gold, the gold that's been mined. And it comes right down. And oh, where it scrolled off. Oh, here it is. If the whole world went to it, it would be about $20,000 a troy ounce. If the entire world and all the world's currencies and economies were based on, now this is Grok doing a very simple equation: global money supply divided by the total gold ounces, and the money supply isn't close to, or is close to, the world's GDP and all that type of stuff. And so there's, I mean, there could be, endless shows about it. But it's a general idea that the world is 135 trillion dollars in it. Let's see, billion, million, billion, trillion in money supply, liquid money supply, and there are 7 billion ounces of gold mined, uh, which is as Grok says, is kind of an estimate. So it leaves us about 20 grand per ounce if the world just went to a gold standard, which I thought it would be higher than that. Thought it'd be higher than that, but no. Apparently, there's a lot of gold mined, and still lots to come.
Mm. I think what's interesting is this is also in relationship to if Elon Musk doesn't create some ship that he can spot where gold is at and then goes and starts mining it. I mean, he's
Literally. What if he just finds a 2,000 ton nugget floating in space, came out of a supernova in the Andromeda galaxy, made its way over here, or not even 2,000, a million ton nugget, and he just drags that thing over to Mars and just
Mhm.
mines it there, and just shoots little rockets full of gold back. Mention the pirate ships, some space pirates. We're getting Elon's gold. Hey,
Dude, that would be real. That would be the only people who could really do that is the UAE and their money. Russia. No, I don't even think Russia. I mean, I don't think
yeah,
China
China,
has.
China has, well, anyone who has the ability to go to the moon would generally have the ability to go outside and maintain an orbit far away from the Earth, because you couldn't do it at the space station's orbit because the
Mhm.
space station's moving 17,000 miles an hour this way. You'd have to be um, far enough away from the Earth so that small changes in your orbit could slowly intercept over time the gold rocket coming from Mars.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I'll have to get Striking Junior to figure that out.
Yeah. And then also ask him what is the possibility of him actually doing it? Because we keep hearing about the Optimus. We keep hearing about the Tesla robot and what's actually happening there. And what's so interesting is watching all the technology. I know it's kind of slowed down. We haven't really seen much lately, but anytime there's been a slowdown of news regarding these robots, the next one that we see is just like mind
I know.
blown. Like it can now break dance and it walks like a human, like real, right? Like it keeps so it's been a while since we've actually seen new news come out regarding these. So part of me wonders. I mean, I guess not so much. We saw the new one, the one that literally has blood or was it air or I forget whatever, but it's basically acts like it's a humanoid, like in a full body. It's all white. They're trying to put real skin on it or some form of skin.
Yeah,
Like,
they'll
and that
figure it
was
out.
that was last week. And so I guess I could say that one. But
I mean, we've all seen those sci-fi movies, and pretty much every sci-fi movie I've ever watched has ultimately come true, or is on the way to becoming true. You know,
yeah, that's real. That is real. So it's kind of crazy. So
we're
we
gonna have
spoke.
lasers. Whew, that's crazy. We're not gonna have lasers. U.S. Navy ships now have lasers that can shoot down drones from 300 miles away. It's
Dude, they can cut down. Dude, U.S. Navy ships can cut in half other warships. I mean, it's just crazy. Like,
fire. Oh, where's the rest of my ship? Shit.
right. Right. Like literally like and then the rest of the guys, I mean, it's like, you know what it reminds me of? It literally reminds me of when we drop a little fat boy, or excuse me, what was it? Not little fat. What was it?
Little man and fat boy.
Thank you. Little
Those are
man.
the
I
two
just flipped
bombs.
it. Yeah, little man and fat boy. And that idea of just they just, Japan just said, all right, we give up. Like what are we gonna do?
Well,
Like,
don't forget, we also firebombed and white phosphorus and napalmed all of their cities prior to that. We We actually killed more people there with the napalm and white phosphorus than we did with the two bombs. And they're like, all right, well, that's it. There's no one left.
Yeah. But let's finish up the TA here.
Sure.
So you can see here that now that we're watching gold really push up, I'm expecting it to at least have a pullback here. I mean, so like I said, that 3,800, right? And the reason why I picked that is when you look at the extension, the leg extension that we saw kind of pull back, where we saw it kind of push up and pull back. This is kind of a similar move from here. Um, this one should be a smaller push up. So I'm looking at that 3,800, 4,000 area here as we go, and then see it kind of pull back like we saw here. Push up, pull back was a 50% retracement. I'm expecting some form of a 50, 50, not 50% retracement, excuse me. Like a 10% retracement of seeing it kind of pull back, and see it go maybe pull back 200 points to 400 points, and then continue up if things keep progressing the way that they are. And America basically keeps just spinning like a drunken sailor. So shout out to Rebel Capital for that statement. Just repeating you.
Drunken
Okay.
sailor. I love it.
Drunken sailor, like their old drunken sailor Uncle Sam. Okay, so next one here. Let's go ahead and pull into BTC right now. Actually, we'll go into strategies. So we talked about strategies coming back further down. Strategies is already starting to continue down. So that area that we were looking at is the 337 to the 237 to the 204 area. If it comes down even further, then we could potentially see that 144 area. This also is on the base of what Bitcoin's going to do. So if we see Bitcoin start to drop, I'd expect to see this drop. So that's it in a nutshell. Go ahead with
Crypto Mike says white phosphorus is crazy to use, and that during his time in
time
the
in the
tour
military.
that the guys had something to expend because it was expiring, so they just fired it in the middle of nowhere in Afghanistan. Well, trust me, Mike. I was in Afghanistan too. That place looks like the whole place got firebombed, white phosphorus, napalmed. It's every tree in the whole country is burned for fuel long ago. It's just not a fantastic place there at all.
Wasn't that Babylon? No, that wasn't Babylon back in the day. Iran was I bought. Anyways, I can't remember. History's a real thing. That's crazy.
Pedro, because I'm getting used to this thing, if you have time, we can go 15 minutes extra because we got a late start and had some technical difficulties, and I'm trying to. I keep doing the wrong thing on our, ladies and gentlemen. Just as you know, I'm talking about we have a new show timer agenda system behind here to keep us on track and all that type of stuff. And I keep messing it up because it's only my second time using it, and so I haven't figured out when you go over a time, how to subtract time without changing the whole schedule. Just keep messing it up.
It is all right. We'll work it out. All
All
right.
right. Well, but then let's take a quick break here, Pedro, to um, earn some cash monies again here.
While you're doing that, I'm going to have a bio break. So I will see you guys in 2 or 3 minutes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do the good stuff here and earn us a little cash monies. So stick with us while I read an ad. If you're on YouTube, you might see an ad. I'll let it roll through because I'm just going to be playing a holding screen anyway, so you might as well let it roll through, just so that we can earn that extra 0.0001 cent on YouTube. All right, where was I here? Let's see. What do we got here for ads? I get to choose. Which one would you guys like to hear? Keep looking for the sports ones. The sports ones pay the best. Let's see. It doesn't look like there's any sports ones today. We're gonna join the the gaming ones again. All right, YouTube and all your other platforms, stand by in this commercial break. We'll be back shortly.
for X amount of years, and I just lost them. But the other part is like what's happening in Washington. Like the left doesn't talk to the right doesn't talk to the left. It's almost unbearable. And so he said, I just don't want to deal with them. The idea where and this is coming from somebody who just didn't want to run anymore because of that. And he's at an age and a point where he's just like, I don't got much time left. Maybe 20, 30 years the most. I want to spend it with my family and see my kids and my grandkids grow, right? So I sat there and I was like, he's right on. He's right on point. I if we keep going, this whole entire situation with Iran, or not Iran, with Israel and with Hamas, I don't foresee us coming together, and especially with Israel outright saying, "Yeah, we told Washington, we let them know what we're doing." So I don't see the far left really stepping up and saying, "Yeah, let's go ahead and work with the right, right?" And even the central left are still behooving to that idea of like we can't support Israel. So it's just I just see that chasm growing, hence causing this situation to get at worse because nobody will agree for entitlement, what we need to cut and what we need to keep. And this slows this down as well because they're not willing to agree on real production of the market. And so it's kind of a sad situation. We've got to figure out a way to drop Social Security. I mean, I hate to say it, whether that is put that money into the stock market and let it run, and so that we can actually pay this off on a better level, right? Or got to figure out a way to get Medicaid drop. I mean, one of these entitlements have got to we've got to figure out a way to drop this. I mean, that's $3 trillion, and I hate to say that, but it's 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 partly. I'm not saying we cut it in completely, but we've got to figure out a way. It's going to be painful, but we've
I
got to.
totally agree with you. The U.S. government spends too much money in entitlements. I'm not saying that that money doesn't need to be spent, because old people need health care, and many years went by where there was little planning for the old people to have health care, or the health care was 5% of your cost of living. Now health care is for old people is like 50% of their cost of living. And so that has totally blown the calculations out of the water. And so there, obviously, we need to figure out um, the Medicare situation, for sure. But we just can't keep printing money to do it. We've got to figure out a way to let the free market bring out ways to lower the cost of it, drastically lower the cost of it. Not just like, oh, we'll see if insurance companies can negotiate, better volume rates. I mean, things that cost $100 need to be $5. Things that are $20,000 need to be $2,000. I mean, it's a big change in the medical business for that, and and the only way that can happen, Pedro, is if the free market economy is somehow incentivized to compete against each other. I heard commercials on United States radio channels for stem cell transplants that our hospital is better than that hospital. We can do it less expensively and it's faster and with better
Mm,
results. Uh, Literally across town in Chicago, one hospital saying, "We're competing for your business for stem cell transplants. It's less expensive, and it's faster, recovery times faster, all this type of stuff." That's just one example of.
yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine what the total cost of a stem cell transplant is. Probably a lot, but the fact that they're working to make it cheaper and faster, uh, that needs to happen in all of healthcare. And that if that happens, then that number can come down a lot. But it's not going to come down with government policy. It's not. I mean, with Congress saying, "Well, let's write a bill to make it come down." It'll never happen
it's
because the Congress,
competition. 100.
right?
Go,
The
keep going.
lobbyists come in
Absolutely,
and blah,
yes.
blah, 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 it's done.
Like going in and I think it's a great way that you actually said that because if you sat there and said, if the US government said, figure it out, drop this and make it real. Like we're not gonna put like we're not gonna pay you this amount. So you need to figure out a way to drop it. Right. And again, I don't think I mean we might get 20% off. Do you think 20% off of Medicaid and Social Security? And here's the thing, it's not going to go down as we continue moving forward, because remember, most people don't realize that we actually have to, where is it at? It's $100 trillion that we have coming. I mean, it's just going to keep going higher. Told him, oh, did they take it away? Don't tell me they took it away. That's BS if they took it
Pedro
away.
used it. Get rid of it.
No, I like talking about it because this is really important to understand that this debt is not going away. We're not even talking about the real debt that's coming up. I mean, I was talking about yesterday that, that $4 trillion is actually $25 trillion in 10 years, right? Because of the interest that we actually are paying on it, right? And and this is the part that's just crazy. US trade deficit, no. Border. What is the full unfunded liability that America owes?
It's at the bottom of your page there. It's like 200 billion, 200 trillion or some crazy shit.
Where is it? Yeah, where is it at?
You've always shown it at the bottom, the unfunded
Yeah.
liability.
Yeah, it's typically right here and they don't have it. They just have how much America's worth, right? Hidden wealth. Okay, great.
I wonder if
Yeah,
they took that away for some reason. Or maybe they determined that they couldn't. Yeah, usually it's right here on the bottom somewhere
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to see where it's at. But it's been there for years, literally years, for like 10 years. Now they're taking it away. Maybe the US government called them up and said, hey, knock that crap off.
Or maybe they just figured it wasn't accurate and they're like, we need a better way to make it accurate. So they're figuring it out. Well,
No.
maybe the great tweeter will give us some clues on that. We'll tweet to them and say, hey, what's going on here?
Here, hit him up. Yeah, hit him up on tweet and say, hey, what is the unfunded liability that America owes in the future? That'd be cool. But ultimately, like it's not going down. So we have to figure out a way. If we can start now chipping away at it, that unfunded liability will slow down, right? Like, or it will decrease in a sense comparative to inflation, meaning it's going to go up. But if we can lower it, right, and the expenditures that America has to pay in the future, then this is one of those things then that it, we can balance that out and put more money into innovation, R&D, right, and basically allow for uh, real real money coming into the US. So it's a scary situation here in America. We really need to kind of balance this. I mean, when you look at Ray Dalio, when he says he's communicating and talking with the people up in Washington, they made it pretty, like he made it pretty clear. He's like, some are open and honest and real, saying, you know what? And if I will not get reelected, if I go through and um, if I don't bring entitlements home, they're not going to reelect me.
Right.
They're not. And if I vote for raising taxes, I'm not getting elected. So what do you have me? Like like the next guy who's going to come in, he's going to have to promise his constituents these things, And again, people are going to have to, I hate to say it, and this breaks my heart to even say this, but some people are going to have to die,
Well,
you know.
or all those constituents that have that dual opinion need to get a letter from the U.S. Treasury that says this is your share of the federal deficit. And if the government is unable to pay for it, you and your family has to pay your share. So figure out how to, everyone owes what, $300,000 is their share or something like that. Whatever the personal debt is to the
It's right
U.S.
here.
government.
It's 324,124.
300, every single person in the United States is, so a family of four owes, 1.4 trillion or $1.4 million is their share of the US debt. Till they
Once,
get that number
yeah.
and they understand it and they said if the US government defaults, you have to pay. No one's
No,
going to give a shit.
it doesn't even have to pay. The thing is it just goes away. Then we're like a third world country.
Right.
and
Well,
only
I
the
guess
rich.
I use that metaphorically if it's your share, but that doesn't mean to say that somewhere down the road, if the U.S. government defaults on $100 trillion in debt, that the U.S. Constitution says, we guarantee this debt. That some court, even internationally or an international court, doesn't say, well, so your own Constitution says you guarantee it, so people got to pay up. Then they start
Yeah.
seizing all Americans' assets in every foreign country and all that, and then party's over. Dollar's done. Party's over.
Or America goes to
Um,
war, or we literally.
yeah, or we just fly the bombers. Tough shit, bitches.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'll put it like this, like Hitler basically told the debt, what was it, Warsaw a treaty, was it the Warsaw Treaty, that they said, here's your debt based off of World War I that you
The
caused.
the
What was it, the
the
treaty?
Weimar.
Weimar, is it Weimar? Either way,
Yeah, I know what you mean. The
he
Treaty of Versailles.
Versailles, there you go, thank you, I appreciate that. He basically said, get out of here, right? And he went on a war path, saying, you know what, we need resources, we need to go out and take this. And I'm actually regurgitating, I know a lot of this stuff already, but I'm regurgitating what Tom Biley was talking about a couple weeks ago. And basically he made a good point. He goes, it's going to get to a point where this debt's going to get so out of hand that America is literally going to have to go to war. I think we will go to war. I think we will sit there. We have technology that is real. Like, we can cut your ships in half. We can, we can go through. You want to play spy games? We play spy games, and we won't play fair. And so this is where, does America take over forcefully Canada? Does America forcefully take over into, we're going to take over India and Europe? You're going to back us, right? And then we're going to hop into China from there, right? Like, this is, and you're saying that's crazy, Pedro. How else? Like, how else are we going to even the score? We're not going to sit there. Do you think a red-blooded cowboy American, or northeastern American, or Southern America is going to sit there and, like, yeah, we're going to give up our stuff? And that means your boys are going to war. Your grandchildren, your great grandchildren in the next 10 years will be going to war if we don't get this thing, like 10, 15 years from now. I
That's all right.
guarantee
We'll all
you.
be living on Mars anyway. We sitting up there with the Total Recall crew.
Oh, bro. Dude, I always think about the original with the I was a kid the first time I
I,
saw that movie.
and I was when they revealed that the dude's head
Bro,
was in. I was like, ah.
or the three titty chick.
Yeah, it was
That was always
epic.
crazy. I was like, "What?" 'Cause I think that was one of the first times that, like, I was like, "Oh, wow, is that what they look like?"
Ladies and gentlemen, you've put up with a whole bunch of us from Pedro and I
Crazy
today, and
Jay. Sorry
I
about
can
that.
only thank you for that. Um, we've had a good show today. Uh, a little bit lighter on the technical indicators of the world, but good stuff about uh, the precious
Sure.
metals, gold and silver, and all that type of stuff. You got to pay attention to those. They've been printing money, ladies and gentlemen. It's very possible, if the central banks of the world are not the exit liquidity for the big banks of the world, then, well, gold is going up a lot more. So think about your investments. Meet with your own financial planners and advisors. Remember, everything we say on this show is for education and entertainment purposes only. It's up to you to decide how to invest your money. That's all we got for you today. As I always say, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to have hosted another episode of this great show called DYOR Live. Man in the box next to me is none other than Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst here. Everyone give a hand to Pedro for the excellent analysis he does of the market, especially on the days when I'm unprepared with a whole slew of news to fill in the gaps. But anyway, good luck to everybody in the evening. Pay attention to the market. Buy some Bitcoin. Not only that, if you are a sponsor or somebody like that that wants to get their eyeballs out there to more people, get in touch with us. We're growing on Rumble, soon to be the largest show in all of the world. Might be a little. I might have used a little exaggeration there, everyone. But anyway, have a great day.